All right, hospitality team, are you here? Whoa. Hospitality team, are you here? All right, product and technology team, are you here? Marketing team, are you here? All right. Operations and warehouse team, are you here? I like it, passion. Consumer service, warranty team, are you here? Finance and accounting. More passion, I like it, and expertise too. Most important people in the company, the money people. Next, sales and independent team, are you here? And then we have Simon and the UK team, are you here? Look at that. And then the last group, the best accessory company in this industry. Are you here? Yeah. All right. Well, James, we can check passion off. You got that one knocked out. Perfect. Oh, my God. The training team. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. How about that? Write a list, and I still forgot it. All right, real quick. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I want to go through three things with everybody. And these three items were driven by conversation with everyone in the company about what you wanted to see from me being the new kid on the block. And wanted to know, one, who am I? What's my background? Why I came to Protect a Bed? And then lastly, where are we going to see our strategy for 17? Where's the direction? Give us insight. It's not 100% complete, but give us some insight on how we're going to go to market and what is our company going to look like and focus on in 17. So, give you a real quick. Grew up in Michigan. I know. Well, for you Cubby fans, you give inspiration to us Lions fans, so it possibly happened. So, as I grew up in Michigan, my wife and I moved to Chicago and had a family. And this is the family, like if you had to say, okay, what is the best reflection of your family? This is it, all right? When we grew up, both Kathy and I, we got married and we started going out with a lot of people. Everybody raves about their family, right? So we would be done with a dinner, we'd go in the car and like, boy, the kids are doctors. Oh my God, they're like the all-star baseball team. We're like the Addams family. I mean, we're a bunch of misfits, right? And but we have a great family. I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate. But one thing, when you come in our house, my wife. This is my family, by the way. Kathy is on the left side there, and then Johnny's my college boy, freshman. Gracie's my 13-year-old. Caitlin is my 16-year-old. So she's driving. Be safe if you drive near St. Charles. And then myself. And my bride is great. Kathy's phenomenal. Thank you for being here, by the way. She has one rule in our house to make sure that she knows that I'm the man of the house. Yep, that is true. I am the man of the house. She tells me when we first got married, honey, you are so intelligent. I am so lucky to be married to you. And you just, I feel safe around you. So I think it's important to entrust you with all the major decisions in our life. And I'll make all the minor ones, the small ones, but you make all the big ones. Chest up, I'm like happy. So we've been married 19 years. We haven't had a major decision yet. I'm waiting. I'm here. So you just let me know when you need my help. But she does a phenomenal job. And if you come to my house in the kitchen, she has a perfect line that describes our family. And that is, some people call it chaos, we call it family. And we have a lot of people that stay with us from out of town, being originally from Michigan or relatives. And they do leave there like, holy moly, that was a crazy week. And but we have really good kids. I'm very blessed. Let you know where I started in the industry. It was in '91, and I started with Sealy and Stearns & Foster. And that company at the time was the number one in market share, but they were making major changes because they knew they had to grow. And what James talked about is you get to a point, you have to change. And so they made major changes in how they went after the market. They went after the market by being strategic as opposed to transactional. They invested a lot in their people and their programs, so there was program selling and not product and price selling. And that company, for the time that I was there from 91 to 98, grew $300 million, and we picked up 5.5% in market share, which is a lot in a short time period. And I've been fortunate to be part of that and learn through that. Then we got a job offer from Chicago. Hope you're okay with that picture. I had a much skinnier person, but the marketing team changed that one on me. No, but we moved. Kathy was pregnant, and we got an offer to come to Chicago to work for Serta, which was a great opportunity. And we picked up and left. And where I was at Serta, and we grew or at Sealy, and we grew that volume 300 million and picked up 4.5 or 5.5% market share. We came to Chicago. We grew it by 3 people, right? 3 kids. And we probably increased the Illinois market, the retail market, by gazillions as much as my kids spent. So after that, we had Serta that I was at from 98 to recently in 16 to August of 16. And we started out to James talked about, a smaller company. And we had to change to get bigger and better. And we did that. And we implemented a lot of focus on execution, and being execution champions. And there we grew 13.5% in market share and $1.1 billion when I was there. And I was fortunate to be part of the executive team, which is great. And I was able to learn a lot. And then something you need to know about me is I like to talk about this with some people, especially people that I care about and people that I believe can be big contributors in our industry and our company. This is an award I won when I was 25 years old. It was the Rep of the Year at Sealy. And to me, it was a phenomenal award. At 25 years old, I was the youngest guy to ever win it. The reason why it's not the exact award is because I threw it out. Because after I won it, I came back and I was very happy, thought I was on top of the world, thought I was one of the greatest employees Sealy could ever have. And I came back and I had one of my retailers, my buyer, who I trusted dearly, told me, he said, "John, that's a great award. But have you ever done like a 360 review on the team you manage?" I go, "No, what's a 360 review?" That is where you go back and get feedback. You're always going, and implementing. You don't take the time to get feedback from people. I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Why don't you check with your team to see how they feel?" And I did, and it was eye-opening. It was very eye-opening. They didn't like me as a manager. They thought I didn't listen. They thought all I did was push them and have them work more hours and wasn't taking feedback from them. Didn't want to listen to their ideas. So that award, which looks nothing like that, I wish I had it to show you, and I wish I kept it, but I threw it out because I was disgusted with myself. So what I did is, after that, I started reading a lot of books and trying to figure out how do you take somebody, right, and communicate with people and get feedback to make sure you make yourself better. And so people that have traveled with me in the short time that I've been here, they'll know one of the first things we do when we walk out of a meeting, what grade do you think you'll give us, right? How do you think we did? A, B, C. What could we have done different? What could I have done different, right? Constantly getting feedback. It makes you better. Also, in some of these books, talked about execution champion, building a fortress around your brands, leadership, accountability, trust. And I'm going to get back to this, but trying to learn and change yourself to go from good to great constantly. And we'll come back to that. And when you do that, and if you get feedback from your team, and you hold people accountable, and you empower people and develop leaders, you get happy people like this. And post that award, which should have been a very positive thing in my life, it was very, very disappointing. But I learned from it. And one thing about life is you can fail, but you can get back up real quick if you learn from it. And it's constantly learning and constantly changing to make yourself better. And that's the position we're in. When James talks about change, we need to change and move forward. We got to make sure we're changing for the better and make sure that we're learning from our mistakes. And most importantly, we got to learn from each other and listen to each other. Since I started, we implemented executive team meetings and leadership meetings. And that is, for the people that haven't heard about it, once a month, I'll meet everybody in the lunchroom, and once a quarter we'll buy lunch, pizzas, open to any ideas if you want to change the menu. And then 2 other times a quarter we'll bring in cupcakes or cookies. But it's to give everybody full transparency of what we're doing and get feedback from the team. So keep in mind in those meetings, if you're ever in those at the lunchroom and you're quiet and you don't want to participate, don't shortchange yourself. Make the most of it. I want to hear it. We want to hear it as management. And then we meet as an executive team. We talk about what everyone's doing to make sure we're all on the same page. Make sure we don't have any silos, break down the silos. And then we had the leaders come in, and believe it or not, I probably talk maybe 20 words during those meetings. It's about them and the leadership and your teams and what you're working on to make sure we're all on the same page and how we can help each other. So it's about changing and empowering people and letting them lead. And we're going to see more of that as we move forward as a company. I talked about, we'll come back to those words, and that's about execution. And you can have a great strategy as we move forward, but if you don't execute, it's useless. Execution champion is one of the most important things in success. Jim Collins, who's a very famous writer on books for business, he does on a consistent basis for the last 25 years. He analyzes companies and tries to figure out how these companies are good and how do they go to great. And some companies are good and they just drop off. Okay? So there's ways you can get to be up on top. And that's sometimes you get innovation, just pure innovation, and it's on one product. I don't know if anyone's remembered George Foreman cooking grill, right? That was unbelievable product launch, one of the best product launches, made buyers in the department stores heroes and got promoted. But within 2 years after that thing launched and had success, those buyers got fired because they really weren't that good. They just leveraged one product. That company went bankrupt today. But it's not sustainable. So he always wanted to study, how do you go from good to great? And the one thing, the most important thing, was execution. Consistent execution. Having a product line, executing out across everywhere, and then inspecting what you expect is important. Here's another quote from his book. Execution is a specific set of behaviors and techniques that a company needs to master in order to have a competitive edge. People talk about, God, what's your competitive edge? And they think, like for Apple, that is innovation. And you can still have innovation in your company. It doesn't have to be number one, right? You can have passion, doesn't have to be number one, right? You can have expertise, but it doesn't have to be number one. But if you have all three and you can execute, by leveraging your passion, your innovation, and your expertise, that's where you win. And as we move forward, it is going to be about execution, 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 execution. And that will be the competitive edge. And when you look at unbelievable companies out there today, they weren't like that before. They may have been good, but then when they went to great, that was when they decided, hey, we are going to drive execution at everything we do. And we do a pretty good job of it today in some of our departments. We have to do it across the country, or across the company. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later. So why protect the bed? People wanted to know that. So when I decided that I was probably going to leave CERTA, I did not know for sure, but I said I want to see what's out there. I want to look at leading another company. And so I looked outside the industry, and then I looked inside the industry, and I decided I'm going to stay inside the industry. And so when you do that, if anyone's ever done a search like that, you look, number one, find a company that has a proven track record and has great integrity, okay? I don't know anyone out there other than Protect the Bed, actually, on that one. So I said, okay, I look at that, and I can't go to mattresses just because of my non-compete, and I didn't want to. I wanted to try something different. And so I looked at the accessory category. So then when you do that, you look for a track record, you look for integrity, and then you also look at these three things. You look inside the industry. So in our industry, in the accessories category, what do you know? And you do a deep dive there. Then you look at what's the customer saying, right? Tell us a little bit feedback. And then the next is a view from the employees. So one, look at the industry. One thing I was always amazed, I would show up CERTA at the Furniture Today conference. And you know what? Protective bed's everywhere. And advertising, sponsorship. You open up the Furniture Today, it's everywhere. There's not another accessory company that's even 10% of what Protective Bed has done to invest in the industry. So I'm like, check, winner. Next. You look at what the customer's saying. If you looked at Better Business Bureau, this is just one aspect. There's a ton of reviews on product you can go through, which I did. But just this is one quick look. Better Business Bureau, our leading competitor was a D-. We're an A+. Check. Next, you look at websites out there. And this was one of our major competitors that talked about this is the worst company to work for, right? And you look at reviews out there from Protect Bed, a little bit different. And since I started with this company, and when I made an announcement I was coming to this company, the amount of phone calls that I got said, unbelievable opportunity for you. You're going to love these people. You're going to love them. And I was excited. And I was very, very fortunate. And one person that led that is, I look back there, I see Larry McKay, who I admired my whole life from when I was at Sealy and he ran national accounts. He was one of the individuals that made the phone call to me and said, hey, you need to look at these guys, and if you're interested, James is going to give you a call. So I do appreciate that, Larry. But it's a great place to work. If you look at where we're at today as a company, James talked about it, and we're up 10%. And what you're looking at is this slide, and I used to use this slide in my old job because I would sit down with big accounts. I ran all our national accounts, and they wanted to know what's happening in the marketplace. So I would do an analysis in the mattress industry. There's not really one in accessories, so I'm utilizing, these are based on mattress sales. That very first box you see is ISPA, which is International Sleep Products, a trade organization that says, hey, the industry's right now is tracking year to date down 2%. So it's been tough. It's been very tough. Sealy, or CERTA and Simmons, my own company, they're down 1%. So they're beating the market, but they're still down. You look at Tempur-Sealy, they're down 2%. Select Comfort's flat. Protective Bed up 10. And then Liggett and Platt, that L&P is Liggett and Platt. They supply all the inner springs and the components to all the mattress manufacturers out there for the most part. So looking on that slide, that's pretty good, right? That's outstanding. Congratulations, by the way, on beating the industry. But we have a lot of work to do. One thing I learned too as I discovered and analyzed other companies is always look at and do a deep dive. Just like I did when I won that award. On the surface, it looked great. Rep of the year, 25 years old. I felt great. But when I had my buyer tell me to do a deep dive, boy, I wasn't winning. I was losing. You know, I had people that were my responsibility, and I wasn't growing them. I wasn't listening. And it was a great lesson for me, and I learned a lot. And so you got to do a deep dive. This looks good on paper, but when you take out 3 different areas, which is hospitality, which is growing at leaps and bounds. You got Mattress Firm, and you have Canada. If you look at our core, we're down 10% as a company. So we would be at track there. So fortunately, we're not, but it just tells you we have things we need to work on as we move forward, and we have opportunities to go out and get. So one thing, too, is when I went and looked at our company, before I came here, after I accepted the job, I did a deep dive on all the stuff that you do, from the marketing to the training. I mean, number one in training, more trainers out there than anybody else. Investment in marketing, better than anybody else out there in a dollar spend. Display, outstanding. Service, oh my God. If you look at service, I mean, nobody delivers on time complete like Protective Bed. Hands down, that's what every dealer has told me. And then trust. A warranty program and a service team that stands behind it. It's been great. But as soon as I started my first couple weeks, I went to a lot of people at Protective Bed and I said, tell me why Protective Bed. Give me your perfect pitch. And there was great feedback. Great feedback. Great content that talked about why Protective Bed. But one thing that stood out, it wasn't consistent. And we need to drive consistency to be execution champions. So I've asked a favor of one of the, so when I met everyone at Protective Bed, it was the Bell family. The first gentleman I met on a plane, the first Protective Bed employee, non-Bell, was rock star Miguel. So Miguel regrets the fact that he met me because now I've asked a favor from him. So Miguel's going to talk about the perfect pitch. And remember I talked about being execution champion, and that's your competitive edge? It all starts with why protected bed. And this is something that it's in process. We're probably about 80% there, but Miguel's said, you know what, John, you want me to take a shot? I got this. So thank you, Miguel. I'm going to turn it over to Miguel, and he's going to take you through the perfect pitch as we move forward.